cooking is, it's magic. You are manifesting something every time you think of an idea and you make it happen in your kitchen.
Hmm.
If you can kind of just take that and just make it bigger, like this is just a window into how I want my life to keep expanding.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it through food.
Welcome to Dishing Up Diaspora, where we explore how culinary traditions connects us to culture, history, and each other. I'm your host, Chef Emme, and today's episode is sponsored by Chef Emme TV on Patreon. It's a space where I share exclusive content like recipes, cooking tips, and behind-the-scenes moments you won't find anywhere else. It's a deeper look into my kitchen and creative process, and right now, membership is totally free. So head on over to patreon.com/ChefEmmeTV and join for free today. Welcome back to those of you who have been tuning in. Welcome to any newbie. I'm so happy and honored to have you here today. I do have an ask for you. If you're enjoying Dishing Up Diaspora, please make sure that you are subscribed wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching on YouTube. And if you have some extra time, I would also love an honest review. Your support and honest feedback is going to help this podcast continue to grow. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Dishing Up Diaspora Podcast and follow me on Instagram at ChefEmme_. I'm so excited about today's guest, y'all. We have the Angela Davis, better known in the internet as the Kitchenista. She is a chef, food blogger, and cookbook author who has been shaking up the culinary world since launching the Kitchenista Diaries in 2012. She's the award-winning voice behind over 300 bold, soulful recipes. Her work has been featured in the Washington Post, Food 52, HuffPost, and Our Detroit, and she's partnered with major brands like Aveeno, KitchenAid, and Royal Caribbean. She's a winner of both the Black Weblog Awards for Best Food Blog and the Shorty Award for Food. Angela brings heat, heart, and hard truth to every dish and every conversation, and I'm so excited to have her here and learn more about her journey. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Okay, before we get started, I can't wait to talk about I really want to talk about like your Cape Verdean background. I'm so excited to get into that. But before I do, I like to play a little game that I call Quick Dish. And I'm just going to tell you I'm going to say two things and you're going to pick which one speaks the most to you. Okay, cast iron or nonstick?
Cast iron.
Sweet or savory breakfast?
Savory.
A slow braise or a quick sear?
Slow braise.
Recipe planning or freestyling?
Freestyling.
Mac and cheese or mashed potatoes?
Mac and cheese.
Butter or olive oil?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with olive oil.
Nice. Solo cooking or kitchen full of people?
Absolutely solo.
I love it. Thank you for entertaining me with that. Okay, so first let's take it back. I want to learn about, where were you born and raised, and again, I'm so curious about your heritage, your background.
Yeah, so I was born in Texas, El Paso, when my father was in the army. My mother is Cape Verdean, and she's from Massachusetts. He's from Virginia, and they met in college and got married. He went right into the army. So that was the first place that they were stationed. And then we moved to Virginia next. So I lived in Virginia for the first few years of elementary school, and two different cities. And then we moved to Germany. So I spent elementary school and part of middle school in Germany, three different cities there.
Wow.
And then back to the States, back to Virginia, graduated high school, back to Texas again, and then back to Virginia. And then once I left high school, I went to New York, Virginia, Florida, and now I'm in Michigan. So I've been all over. Yeah. My dad retired shortly after I left high school, and they stayed in Virginia. So that's where my son is now. He's actually a chef now. And I'm here with my daughter in Michigan.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That must have just bouncing around. How was that growing up?
Growing up, it's hard because you make your friends and this was pre-internet. So right. Everything is relying on having friendships in person this is in the 90s.
Yeah.
So it was devastating, to be honest. You get used to a school or a neighborhood, and then it was like clockwork. Every summer,
Yeah.
I would find out that we were moving to a new city. So it started by the time I was in fifth grade when I left that school. From that point until I graduated from high school, every year I went to a new school.
Yeah. That's hard.
It's
I
hard. I look back like in different terms, and when I
hmm
was living it was hard.
Yeah.
Now I look back and I think I'm in a more of a space of gratitude
Mm-hmm.
for how exposed I was to different
Yeah.
parts of the world. But it was hard growing up, for
Yeah.
sure.
When you were like in Germany, were you in like an American school?
Yes. So we always lived on military bases for the most part, overseas. We had to take German in schools,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a lot of field trips. So like we were integrated in the communities, but
Yeah.
we had American housing, American neighborhoods.
Wow. Okay. How did food show up during that period of your life?
Those are actually part of my earliest food memories would be
Mm.
in Germany. It was the street food.
Oh.
Um, I remember just being like the bakeries. I remember a lot of the traditional German food, like the schnitzel restaurants and that sort of thing. But it was really the street food that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of traveling. So we went to France
Mm.
and Switzerland and Amsterdam, and we would take a lot of family road trips.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot of food,
Wow.
experiences from those trips as well.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So
So that
that,
was the fun part,
yeah,
like that's
yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So when did you know that you were going to like go into the culinary like world with this cookbook or not the blog, or did you do something else before?
I was an accountant before I started food. And even before that, I had no idea that I would end up in accounting. So
Mm.
for me, I think I always knew I was a creative person. I was a creative kid,
Mm-hmm.
but I was also very much into math and science and tech. So when I went to college, it was with the intentions of becoming a doctor and
Oh.
taking a pre-med track. But
Mm-hmm.
I left college early and had my son early and needed, a stable job right
Mm-hmm.
away. And that's how I ended up getting into corporate work and became an accountant. So I did that for 10 years before I ever picked up a camera.
Yeah. Wow. Accounting. Ooh, that's such a different world.
Right. And now I don't even want to touch
Really.
numbers.
That's how I
But
am.
I started cooking like for fun in that time, but
Yeah.
still definitely never really saw that far ahead that this is
Yeah.
something that I'm doing
Yeah.
professionally.
And then, so what did make you start the Kitchenista Diaries?
Um, Boredom, creative, just craving for something different.
Mm-hmm.
I was really struggling in my work situation. It wasn't feeling like the career for me. It was a lot of just nasty office politics.
Mm,
So cooking
yeah.
was a way for me to come home and like decompress.
Mm-hmm.
I was living in Florida at the time, and in Florida, probably very similar weather. It's just there's food all year long. The farmers markets were just full of
Mm,
all kinds of tropical ingredients, especially that I hadn't really seen in Virginia. So I just fell in love with food as an adult for the second time. Like, it was just seeing new things.
yeah.
And I couldn't wait to get home at night. I would cook in the middle of the night. I couldn't wait to get to the farmers market on the weekends. And that just became my lifestyle, like a hobby outside of work.
Yeah.
And somebody suggested, blogs were becoming popular at the
Mm-hmm.
time, and somebody suggested maybe you should actually share the recipes and not just, the photos of what you've been cooking. Some people might want to try it. And that's how the blog started.
That's amazing. Yeah, I do remember that period of time where like food blogging was the thing, especially like here in
It's
Seattle.
so organic and like
Yeah.
it was I don't want to say it was easy. It wasn't easy because
Mm,
none of us knew what we were doing at the time.
mm-hmm.
There was no blueprint,
Yeah.
but there was something just so raw about it, like
Mm-hmm.
nobody had the full-blown internet personality yet. It was
Yeah.
just like this is really what's happening in somebody's kitchen from, 1,000 miles away, and you can watch it.
Totally. Yeah. I will say though, like in Seattle, because I remember, I had my daughter in 2008. So like around that era of like the 2010s, 11s, and 12s. Like I feel like is when food blogging was really like popping, and I was, came from my parents' restaurant, and I tried to do a food blog. It was called like Food Samba, but it was really hard, with like a baby. I had so much going on, but also for me, like I don't know if it was just maybe a Seattle thing. I also didn't really see a lot of people who looked like me, any Black people, any Black women, like really doing it. So I always like felt out of place. Like I remember I won like a competition to go to like a food blog conference, and I just felt so like a fish out of water. Like I did not belong. It was like, just these like little housewife looking white women who just like, and this was like a trauma that I've had all my life, trying to like fit into that mold that like I feel like with the food blog world, I just got a really bad taste in my mouth from like attending these places and seeing how like, these little clicky and circles, and I just was like, I can't, like I can't do this. So I'm wondering like, what was your experience in the early days?
It's funny because I think in all of the interviews I've done, you might be the first person that's brought this up, like candidly, because that is exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
It was very exclusive. And I went to very few industry events because I was invited to very few in the first place. Like the ones that I made it to, I've definitely felt like a fish out of water. It was the first, I remember the first one that I went to. I think I was maybe 4 or 5 years in, and I thought that I was more of an established blogger. And then going into those spaces, and you find out that all of these women have like their husbands are doing all of the producing, and they had just unlimited really budget and time to do the same thing that you were struggling to do with like a kid and a job. It was just very shocking to find out how uneven the playing field really was. And that was the beginning of me realizing that this isn't really the path that I wanted to keep going down as far as building a professional blog and making it bigger than what it was. I didn't really see the potential there because I didn't have the same resources whatsoever.
Yeah. But this is like skipping so many things I want to talk about, but I do like what I really like admire and love about you and like the journey that you've like carved out for yourself is that like, I mean, you're like an independent, I don't even know what word to use, independent chef, I guess. I love that you just like carved out your own lane and kind of took matters into your own hands. It's like you are putting out your own digital cookbooks. You have created your own Patreon community. And I think that's really important. And again, like I've personally have struggled with like craving and wanting like these opportunities and these things that I know I deserve and I'm good enough for, just as good as like the people that I see are getting it. And then like, never mind, I'm doing it myself. But like doing it myself is really lonely. It's really scary. It's really hard. It's like this like back and forth of like love, hate, like, oh, I want this opportunity. No, I'm going to do it myself. No, I want like somebody give me a chance. No, I'm just going to do it myself and like show it all to them, like,
yeah,
it's
hard going down that path. And if you are the type of person who's like intellectually curious and you like to learn, you get trapped in that cycle of thinking, okay, I can do this. I can learn. I can do the class. I can do the tutorials. I can figure this out on my own. And maybe you can, but it's just the time that you spend trying to learn every new thing on your own. It really is. It makes it hard to move forward. I'm finding even after all of these years, I'm still finding that I have that pattern of thinking that I can do this on my own. It doesn't look that involved, and then you're in it and you realize like learning a whole new thing on top of what you already have going on is a lot.
Yeah, completely. And I think, I mean, as Black women, it's like, how many times do we tell ourselves I can do this on my own, and it's like we can, but like,
yeah, especially those of us, we have babies, like we've had to figure it out. And I apply a lot of that mindset to how I move forward in this career. It's just like that hustler kind of single mom mentality. Like I'm gonna figure it out, even if I have nothing in my wallet. I'm trying to break out of that. Like I've been doing, this is my 13th year, and I'm just now in this chapter of like, okay, if this is going to be something that I'm really obviously like committed to this,
Mm-hmm.
this has to transform into something different that is more sustainable for me.
Yeah.
Um, I need to get to a point where I can hire and feel comfortable having a team around me
Mm-hmm.
and delivering at a higher level.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just kind of like you get to a point where you realize your own limitations, not in a
Mm-hmm.
way that's like it's not. I don't feel defeated,
Yeah.
but it's like the reality of it is like, okay, if I want this, then I
Mm-hmm.
have to grow to get
Yeah.
there.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's like my perception of like you and the work that you do. You're very unique, like I think that especially like as Black women in America, they really try to put us in a box of like, oh, this is a certain type of food that you cook. This is like your personality that you must have. And I think you break that mold completely. Like I look at your stuff and I'm like, it gives me that like aesthetic, like soft life vibe that we deserve and we can have as well. And it's like, I don't see, honestly, like you're probably the only Black woman that I see on social media when I'm scrolling through my Instagram, and I'm like, and it brings me so much joy to see somebody who looks like me to be able to live that life and like have the right to put that content that is you, and that's not what, whoever America wants you to be. I love that. I love that about you. And I don't even know what I was gonna say, all that to make a point, but like the point was lost. I just wanted to let you know that like I
I
really
see
love
that.
that.
I it's funny because I don't know if I would look at my life like from the inside and call it a soft life.
Mm-hmm.
But my food is kind of like what I'm manifesting is through
Yeah.
the food. Like this is the life that I want for myself. This is I know that I deserve more. I know that I'm capable of more. And sometimes it is just like what I can create in the kitchen that day
Mm-hmm.
is the stepping into like the dream for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's as long as you keep walking in that direction, it's cooking is, it's magic. Like
Yeah.
you are manifesting something every time you think of an idea and you make it happen in your kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
If you can kind of just take that and just make it bigger, like that's how
Mm-hmm.
I look at this is just a window into how I want my life to keep expanding.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it through food because
Yeah.
that's what I have access to right now.
Totally. Okay, I remember what I was saying all that to say. Do you feel like kind of isolated and lonely in what you're doing? Do you feel, or like, I mean, you have your community obviously, but I feel like more as like on the colleague
Yeah,
level. Like, do you feel like kind
dude,
of isolated?
yes, I have to make my peers. Like I have to make time and make those connections in the industry. I
Mm-hmm.
have to make that on my own because I'm not in a traditional workplace
Yeah.
where I have people around me. Other than the job that I just took in the past year,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm making food in person once a week. And I did that on purpose because I needed people. And
Yeah.
since I kind of ran to the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
at a certain period in my life
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted that solitude. Now I'm on the other side of it and I'm like, like I guess I kind of do want to be around people again. I don't
Yeah.
want to be in office space, but I have to make a point of setting up like can we do lunch,
Yeah.
can we set up Zoom or FaceTime? Like I have a few professional friends where we
Mm-hmm.
trade like secrets, not secrets, but just projects that we're working on,
Yeah.
like talking about like how we're using ChatGPT or how we're
Mm-hmm.
using Canva, like
Yeah.
I have to set all that up on my own and kind of find those people who
Mm-hmm.
are in the same similar place and,
Yeah.
and need that kind of networking in untraditional ways.
Yeah. Yeah. No, totally. I feel that so much because, like I worked in both corporate setting and restaurants, and it was like a lot, like very toxic. So then I kind of like ran away being a private chef, just like working by myself, like doing catering, and like a lot of the work that I do is like by myself, and it's just like me being the creative. And like at a certain point I'm like, dang, like I'm lonely. Like I do miss like the camaraderie, the peers. So I have like in the last year made an effort of being like, okay, I'm gonna network, I'm gonna like, and try not to like let the word network kind of like like intimidate me, because
you're right. It's for lack of a better word.
yeah, exactly. But like make connections. Like I want to make connections and make like authentic, true connections and community. And because I feel like we need it. I need it for like my mental health. Like I need somebody who can understand, you know, what I'm kind of going through. And also like it just helps us be more creative. I mean, we're human beings. Like we're meant to be like in community with each other. And I think that for me, like the communities, like going back to like the food blogging days, it was like there were communities, but I didn't fit into those communities. So now I'm like I understand that now I can make my own. Like I'm allowed to make my own, and that's okay. Like I don't have to like certainly like belong in this other one. Like I can make my own where I and other people like me belong in. So yeah.
Do you feel differently about trying to find a community from mutual like social media people in the food industry? Do you see a distinction between that type of networking versus finding your food people like maybe in your local community in person?
I do. I do. I feel like especially for me, just because like the local is more like restaurant, like it's like more restaurant chefs, and they're not really doing like the social media that I'm doing. Like, and the people that are doing social media like me are more like foodies, I guess, you know, and not like really like trained chefs and things like that. So it is like I fit in like the local Seattle community. It's more like chef stuff. And then like my social media is like a totally different group of people. Yeah. Which I mean they both
So
been
hard
great.
to kind of find like
Yeah.
people 100% kind of relate to both or all
Exactly.
sides of what you're doing. Yeah, I have the
Exactly.
same experience.
Yeah. What is the job that you're doing in person?
I'm making pasta.
Mm.
I found a small Italian shop
Yeah.
in a town like maybe 10 minutes away from me in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's run by her name's Monica, and she's like a Nona. So I'm literally like making ravioli on Sundays with a Nona. And it's been so cool. And it's a small shop. So there's maybe I don't know, 5 other women
Mm-hmm.
that I work with, sometimes on Sundays. Sometimes I go in a day during the week and do a shift, and I get to help with like sauces or salads. I learned how to use the commercial pasta press.
Mm-hmm.
So I do ravioli by hand, and then we press out all of the different types of pasta shapes. And then I get a little bit of retail experience
Yeah.
as far as inventory and that kind of thing, just a little bit. Just I wanted that exposure just to kind of open my options. And that's something I've always done from the beginning. I definitely take jobs as like learning experiences
Mm-hmm.
because I haven't had a traditional path. I've had to I've had to also like be strategic with my education.
Yeah.
So this has been a job, but it's been really almost like an internship.
Yeah. That's amazing. I do see that pasta that you made. Did you make one with like a seafood something?
That was at home, probably a crab. I did a crab
Yeah.
pasta.
Yum. I love it. I
Yeah.
love your
So
videos.
that's the bonus is that I get to bring home like all the fresh pasta. So I make it less at home now because I do it at work and it kind of fulfills that
Yeah.
need.
Mm-hmm.
So when I do it at home, it's a very small batch compared to what I'm able to do at work. It's such a difference now, just realizing like the different work
Yeah.
behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay, let's get back. Again, you said your mom was Cape Verdean. Tell me about that. Does she speak Portuguese?
That's the interesting thing that they Criollo, they never taught
Oh,
my family. My grandparents were first generation.
okay.
So their grandparents were from the islands, 2 different islands, Fogo and Brava.
Mm-hmm.
So they immigrated in the early 1900s, late 1800s.
Okay.
That's when our family started coming over. So my grandparents were born in the 1920s, and they've
Mm-hmm.
been here. They passed away when I was in high school. Um, so my mom has 9 brothers and sisters,
Wow.
and they were all raised in Massachusetts, like Catholic family.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was more about, I guess, people were trying to integrate, and there wasn't a lot of that culture wasn't passed down in every family the same way. So
Yeah.
where they were living, they didn't pass down the language. The
Yeah.
food, yes, to an extent.
Mm.
However, as I got older, especially when I got into my work as a food blogger, that's when I started to realize how much I didn't know
Mm.
because I didn't realize how much of what I had been had experienced was like Americanized versions of things.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot of unlearning
Mm-hmm.
and relearning as an adult. And now I have, different goals for myself. Like I would like to visit, I would like to learn things
Yeah.
that um, you know,
Yeah.
it just didn't happen.
Have you ever visited?
No, I'm looking probably next summer would be my first trip. And my parents went for the first time last year.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing, but it also like makes me sad because like as like I was a child immigrant and I again like your great great grandparents like really tried to assimilate and integrate and kind of shut that Brazilian side out. Thank God my parents, had the Brazilian restaurant and they would do like performances and stuff. So I, had to kind of like keep some of that. But, my kids don't speak Portuguese. And it was really scary. I was actually doing an interview with a chef, a local Seattle chef. And he was like in the middle of the interview telling me he's Mexican American. His parents were Mexican. And again, like me, they, like all immigrants, I believe, like really try to assimilate and kind of lost that like culture. And he was saying how they didn't speak to them in Spanish because they wanted them to speak in English. And at that moment, like I realized that like me not speaking Portuguese with my kids was actually like a trauma response. Like it was like actually me like wanting to have the American experience and have my kids have the American experience. And like in that moment it was like it broke my heart because my parents tease me like or like they're mad at me that I didn't teach my kids Portuguese, and I'm always like, oh, it's just so it's hard, English kind of rolls out of my tongue a lot easier. But if I really like look deep into it, honestly, there's like some trauma there as to why, I'm like, we're going to be this American family, that I wish I was. So to know that, like your family really like lost a lot of their like heritage, their identity is really sad, but I'm really excited for you to have exploring it through food.
Journey. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
and all of my I have so many cousins and we're all in different
Yeah.
places too, where some of them are interested and some of them aren't.
Yeah.
So I definitely recognize it as this will be an independent
Yeah.
journey for me. I
Mm-hmm.
do have like some of my aunts and uncles are have more knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
that I have conversations with them and I learn a lot, like from one of my uncles when I call
Yeah.
him and I have questions. But I really do wish that my grandparents were still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't around when I became a cook, and there's so many more things that I would have asked if
Mm-hmm.
I have access to that.
Do you have any family there still?
I do still have family. It's
Okay.
just, it's layered with how we grew up as a military family
Right.
that we just didn't even get to visit my mom's family often.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I only made it to Massachusetts if we were lucky, maybe once a year, right in the summer in
Mm-hmm.
between moves. But even that was not consistent.
Yeah.
Uh, and then by the time I became an adult, I was a single parent and just I wasn't traveling often. So now it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of on me to plan those trips.
Right.
So it's just food is definitely a big motivator. It's helped me see the gaps in my own knowledge about like my family history and my
Mm-hmm.
heritage, and it's giving me different goals for like travel planning and
Mm-hmm.
what I would like to see and learn.
Interesting. Yeah. I have no idea about anything Capo Verde, like at all. Like I only my parents had their Brazilian restaurant and there was like a client that would like always come and he was from Cape Verde, him and his brother. And I always thought it was like so interesting and they would speak Portuguese, but like with their own like unique accent. And I'm like, what is this? This is Cape Verde.
Yeah.
I never heard of this.
Last time I went to Taunton, which is Massachusetts, where my mom's family is from, a
Mm-hmm.
couple summers ago, my aunt took me to a little shop and it was a Brazilian market, and it was all Brazilian ingredients, Brazilian and Portuguese food ingredients, and they
Yeah.
had a whole like buffet and with Brazilian food, and it was so funny like how much overlap there is
Mm-hmm.
there with the ingredients that we use. But yeah, when I grew up, I never got to go to stores like that. Like it
Yeah.
just food was just there on the table. I never really knew where it was coming from. But there's a lot of ingredients that I can't get,
Yeah.
our regular stores here.
Yeah. What is Cape Verdean food like? Can you describe it?
So the sausage that we use a lot is it's a lot of Portuguese. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's I would say it's closer to Portuguese, the Americans, dishes that I know.
Yeah.
So I can't speak specifically to like the actual food from the islands because
Mm-hmm.
I'm only beginning to learn that.
Yeah.
So like our traditional rice dish in the States is called jag. Whereas Jagasita is the name that I thought was like the full name.
Uh-huh.
I thought that that was connected to a dish on the islands, but they have a couscous dish by that name. They do have like a rice and beans, but it's not what we make. So we have rice and beans and we use linguiça, which is the Portuguese sausage.
Mm.
So it's cooked almost in, I wouldn't say it's like jambalaya, but when people
Mm-hmm.
see it, that's kind of what they associate it with, maybe
Yeah.
because of the sausage and the beans, but
Uh-huh.
it's much drier than that. It
Okay.
doesn't have the tomatoes.
Yeah.
We cook with a lot of pork. I don't anymore, but like a lot of the older dishes would have like salt pork
Mm.
for flavoring
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't also sausage.
Yeah.
So the stews I'm learning, um, like cachupa is something I grew up eating but never made myself until an adult. And that is just like almost every starch you can imagine. So we cook manioc is the one that stands out. I guess
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't be in a lot of American dishes that Brazilians also use,
Yeah.
um, like cassava or
Mm-hmm.
yuca, depending on what people call it. So we use that a lot. So there's like a chicken and manioc stew that I grew up on. And canja is probably my favorite dish for like comfort food. And
Yeah.
that's our chicken and rice, which you have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's almost the same.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot of overlap there. Seafood, because they're in New England,
Mm-hmm.
they do the New England kind of the clam boils,
Okay.
lobster. Some of that I think is just New England, not
Right.
necessarily Cape Verdean, but
Yeah.
there's some overlap with just the communities being there.
Yeah. Wow.
So I didn't see a lot of the traditional um, authentic like island food in
Mm-hmm.
my family's gatherings as much as maybe people that are closer to like Boston and have
Mm-hmm.
immigration is like closer in the line
Yeah.
than my generation.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Is that where like most Cape Verdean people in the U.S. are? Is just right there?
New England, yeah, Massachusetts, Rhode Island,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see the most. And then I learned actually that there's a small population that was in Hawaii, and that's actually how
Oh.
the Hawaiian bread came to be. It's
Oh. The
Portuguese
Portuguese.
bread.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
It's because of the
Interesting.
whaling trade. So
Yeah.
during the Atlantic slave trade, like that was the whaling route. So that's where
Mm-hmm.
they ended up in New England, and the cranberry bogs were like the first industry that a lot of the Cape Verdeans worked the cranberry bogs up there.
Oh wow. That's so interesting. That's so cool. Thanks for sharing that with me. Yeah, I've always like yeah, I've been curious about like Cape Verdean like culture, like what they eat and stuff is with the Portuguese and Brazil kind of like link to it. They definitely
Yeah,
overlap
it
for
seems
sure.
similar. Like I'm learning the differences and
Yeah.
just when I go into the store, I think that helped me kind of
Yeah.
see like where some of the differences are. Like some of the bean dishes that we do are different.
Mm-hmm.
I started cooking with the palm oil, the dende oil.
Mm. Do you guys cook
Because
that with it in do you use
I don't
okay.
know if that's traditional
Okay.
with Cape on the island, but
Yeah.
I just started using because I got it in the store and
Yeah.
was learning how to make like moqueca at the
Yeah.
time. So I've been using like a lot of the like the Portuguese and the Brazilian hot peppers and the hot
Mm-hmm.
sauces I use in my food.
Yeah. Amazing. Ugh, dende oil. I love, 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 love dende oil. How you like have you
I love it.
yeah.
I love it. I use it for a lot of like quick stir fries, and
Yeah.
I
Ugh.
love the color and just like that almost like a smoky kind of
Yeah. The
flavor
smoky
that
like flavor to
yeah,
it. And the smell of it is so distinct. You know, it really pisses me off when I see recipes for moqueca, like a bayana moqueca, and it's like, oh, if you can't find dende oil, just use olive oil. I'm like, are you crazy?
it's
Like,
not the
huh?
same.
Not even.
I Yes, that has been such a big lesson to me as I learn like explore other cultures through food
Yeah.
is just to never listen to those, like it's okay if you make a substitute. It's not okay.
Right.
It's not even close to the same flavor.
No. Color, flavor, like aroma, like nothing, nothing at all. So if you
Yeah.
don't have
It's
dende
all
oil, you're not
yeah.
making it by in.
It is almost always worth the trip to just go to the international market, like
Yes.
try to find what you really need
Mm-hmm.
instead of making like critical changes like that.
Exactly. Totally. Okay, so right now you're working that one day with the Italian nonna making pasta. You're definitely a social media presence, but you also have like your Patreon community. You have your cookbooks. Like, how do you
The
manage?
cookbooks I'm trying to bring back. I haven't published anything in a few years, more than a few years.
Yeah.
So that's my goal this year, is to get a self-published collection back out.
Mm-hmm.
And I launched um, my workshops and classes. I'm launching a series of virtual classes this year. So I just did the first one last night, and I have one tomorrow. So this is a little bit of a just a soft launch. I'm trying to figure out what works for me.
Yeah.
But my goal is to shift some of my the Patreon member benefits
Mm.
over to, come take a virtual class with me instead, because I'm
Yeah.
just seeing the shift with content.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, it's harder to keep up with the people. Really don't understand how much work goes into recipe development,
Mm-hmm.
to come up with brand new recipes. I've been doing this for so long, and it's like I don't see the need to just keep making up recipes just
Right.
to fulfill a content demand.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more interested in helping people figure out like what they actually need to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
What actually gets you through the week, and what are you actually putting on your tables for special gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
Everything outside of that, I think, is that should be what you explore independently, but the way my mind works when I'm in the kitchen is mostly freestyling.
Mm-hmm.
And I start to feel very limited when I have to put that on paper
Yeah.
in a way that makes like accessible to thousands of people to be able to make the same thing. There's
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
Yeah.
like it's just different than like the how you would cook for your private client.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to translate that.
Right.
You can just cook freely and make it taste the way that you want to. But when you have to get to writing it into a formula, into a
Mm-hmm.
recipe that other people can go and shop for, there's a it feels like it's curbing my creativity a little bit at this point.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a whole different beast for sure.
Yeah,
Totally
and it's
different.
oversaturated. I think we have thousands and thousands and thousands of food bloggers now,
Yeah.
which we did not have in the late 2000s when a lot of us started.
Yeah. So when that shifted, like, what were your first thoughts? Like, were you like, did you notice it right away and was like, okay, like I need to shift like what I'm doing as well?
I don't know that I noticed beyond my own work.
Mm-hmm.
That I just recognized that a shift was needed for me as
Yeah.
far as the future of my blog,
Mm-hmm.
because at first, honestly, it was like just the level of entitlement that had grown. I think I noticed that. Just the attitude towards the content and the work itself
Mm-hmm.
online, when that became mainstream, so many people just felt like everything should be free for the taking,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't an exchange anymore. It wasn't my readers or my audience. It
Yeah.
was just random people taking my work and
Mm-hmm.
copying it, or
Mm-hmm.
people using my recipes for their stores and their catering
Mm-hmm.
businesses, and things like that were
Yeah.
starting to happen. My recipes had, a
Yeah.
couple showed up in somebody's cookbook without, full authorization.
Yeah.
So when those things started to shift, I felt like the first thing to do was like protect my work
Yeah.
differently than I had in the past. And that Patreon was the first solution that I had, was just like, okay, I need to get my things behind a paywall. And
Yeah.
that's the first step.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I definitely saw that with a lot of like food bloggers where it's like people didn't even, they don't even want to read the story. They just like want
Oh,
right to the
yeah.
let's go right to
That,
the
and that
recipe.
has always been like a little bit of a sore spot for me, because I started out as one of the traditional food bloggers, and that was very much part of what we did.
Yeah.
We weren't just spitting out recipes. It was just like that was our voice. That was
Yeah.
our opportunity to share like a little piece of our life. And
Totally.
nobody was forced to read it at all. Like, you don't have to be
Right.
here. It
Exactly.
For me, it was just like it's the audacity of saying like Googling something, and like you find that exactly the information that you need that's helpful to you, and then you act like somebody is inconveniencing you
Right.
because they read about their life first,
Right.
and you couldn't just scroll past it.
Yeah.
I I still, people try to make that joke, and I still don't think it's funny.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like it's your art, it's your work. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's mostly women too. It's women telling their stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand where that became the problem.
Yeah.
Um, that you had to sort through, a few words before you got to like your free information instead of
Right.
buying a cookbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
when that is the shift that I did notice kind of publicly, was like that mindset had changed. Like people didn't appreciate like the art of it anymore. And I wanted to get away from, I think, even just being called a food blogger, because it was limiting my professional opportunities. It was kind of changing how people viewed me and what I was capable of when that was the first introduction.
Right.
So I just saw the need to like focus on more than that. And it's funny because I did all of that to get away from a food blog, and a lot of the work I do on Patreon ended up being very similar to running a blog.
Yeah.
But there is the level of protection there.
Yeah.
That it's only the people that want to be there.
Right.
And I had to have a mindset shift
Yeah.
of appreciating a smaller audience.
That's like appreciates you. Right.
Yeah. It's huge, because in my early days I was managing Twitter and Instagram. At the height of that, it was maybe almost 500,000 people. Wow. That's a big shift to having a community of 3,000 to 4,000.
Yeah, that is a huge shift. But also, like, I feel like there's positivity in that, where you don't. I mean, mostly positive. Because I would think like 500,000 people is a lot of toxic.
It's a lot. It's a lot of
noise. Yeah,
a lot of people that didn't really want to be there. They're just there.
Yeah,
and so that's the difference. I don't know if you feel that with your Patreon. It's not loud. It's so quiet there.
Yeah.
I've had to ask people like, it's okay. It's okay to talk. Like, we can comment here. You don't have to, but
yeah.
Hear from people.
Well, yeah. I'm just starting, so it's hopefully I get to even triple digit numbers soon. So, but again, like, I'm kind of like shifted my mindset of like, I even in my my newsletter, like my what is it called, like my mailing address sign up stuff, mailing list. Yeah. I'll see people like unsubscribe, and I'm like, I've kind of changed my mind frame to like, okay, like that's great for you and for me, because I only want people that like want to be here and want to like take in what I have to say. So it's like, I honestly like don't feel, because I used to be like, oh, why'd you leave me? And now I'm like, okay, great. Like, go get to like what you want to go get to, like make room for people who like want to be here. Like, I honestly don't care anymore. And I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm curating my list to like, now I know that like when I send this, like, hopefully maybe one day I'll get to like 100% open rate and 100% like people really like diving into what I have to say. So I think shifting that mind frame.
And there's just so many different ways of reaching people. You have to figure out what works. I look at people like what you're seeing, what you're telling me, and I'm seeing you in your studio, and I'm like, I want to get to that point where I even send things out on a mailing list, because we all are good at different things, and we all have time and focus on different things. So I reach my audience mostly just through social media, and I'm learning how to do more of like the sales, and it's a process, and I did have to learn not to look at that day-to-day number that was changing, because you see the person leave, especially if it's somebody's like email or if it's, a Patreon member, if you've kind of seen them for a few months and you kind of recognize them from the comments, and you see that person, it's like, it does kind of a little bit, even if they put it like on Patreon, they do like a little exit interview. Sometimes you can see the reason. And I try not to take it personally, like look at trends over time, but not like that one-off kind of thing, because that is where my feelings get hurt.
Yeah. Girls, tell me about it. Feelings getting hurt in social media. It's our work that we're doing is so personal. Like, we're artists, like, it does kind of sting, when somebody comes for you or like leaves you, abandons you, but still, like, I think it's really like your mind frame Like
Yeah,
how you frame that situation has helped me, honestly.
just for your sanity. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
completely.
and people tell you like don't read the comments. Honestly, it's probably that's good
Yeah.
advice most of the time.
Yeah. And I haven't had too many like controversial posts, but like the ones that I do, I'm like, you know what? Like let them comment. It's actually going to help me with the algorithm. So, sure. Why not? Like comment. You're helping me, and I just like don't, cuz I used to like respond and like it would like, take my whole day like like I don't do that
It
anymore.
feels so
So,
ugly, right? It
yeah.
even like when you do engage, even if
Mhm.
you feel justified or you feel like I have to let them know like you
Yeah.
can't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
Block.
good. Like it never really you don't really ever resolve anything. Now you just
No.
have another, weirdo that's either
Totally.
you block them or they're gonna be
Yeah.
making for you later. So
Yeah.
I think over many, many years, I've gotten to the point of understanding where my boundaries need to be as far as on Instagram. I think they've done a better job than other
Mhm.
platforms of
Mhm.
how you can limit comments or, what you see and don't see.
Yeah.
And I curate my internet experience so that I'm not constantly like
Yeah.
feeling like I'm,
Completely.
yeah, I don't like to be in that space.
No.
It's a workplace for us too, and nobody wants
Yeah.
to come to work and deal with that.
I love that you said that. Yes, it's like a workplace for us, and you don't want to be toxic because toxic
Yeah, because
workplaces.
this is the place that we created,
Yeah.
to not be in the toxic office or the toxic
Exactly.
kitchen. And
Exactly.
that is why I have the boundaries I do,
Yeah.
because you aren't going to ruin
Totally.
this piece that I created for myself, like took a
Mhm.
long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Okay, so what's next? You did say you wanted to kind of revive like the cookbooks and all that. And you said like self-published. Would you ever want to like be with like a publishing house, or do you
I
like
do
the independent?
now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready in the past, but
Yeah.
it's more about just what comes with the book deal that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is the public appearances I
Yeah.
didn't want to do. I
Mm-hmm.
had a very young daughter also. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter just graduated fifth grade a couple weeks
Oh,
ago. So
yay.
I've had her on my own in
Yeah.
Michigan for these last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very hard to even think about what that could look like. Like if I got the book deal,
Mm-hmm.
could I do a tour? Could I do the traveling? Do I
Yeah.
have the time?
Yeah.
And then even just the finances behind that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not always as much money as you might be dreaming about it, like changing
Mm-hmm.
your life overnight. It's not really
Mm-hmm.
like that.
No. Yeah.
Um, even if you eventually get paid, there is a period of time where I would have to be spending a lot of time on something
Yeah.
that isn't paying off yet, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't fit that into my life
Yeah.
um, in the earlier years.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people were always asking me about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't for lack of want. It was
Mm-hmm.
just like a very, I think, self-awareness.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right time for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense, and I love that you knew that for yourself, because it is. I got a book deal. Actually, my manuscript is due in a couple of days, but I think I was a little naive going into it. Like, not that I expected to become like, rich overnight, but there is a lot that I didn't know that I'm learning. Very steep learning curve. So it's
What you have to pay for, like out of the
yeah.
it's not, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
I
crazy.
I definitely I did a couple of workshops
Yeah.
with people that I really respect,
Mm-hmm.
that taught me what to expect and how to do the proposal. And
Yeah.
it's always just been like I'm ready when it
Yeah.
makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
exactly for that reason, like I don't even want somebody to hand me that check
Yeah.
until I know that I can actually handle it.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. So what is next for the Kitchenista?
What's next? Travel is like pretty big on my list right now. So I would like to expand in that area to do more group tours.
Ooh,
We
yeah.
did Thailand last year. I have Italy coming up in October. We're taking
Mm,
10 women to the Amalfi Coast. And
nice.
then I can't say where the next trip is yet, but
Yeah.
I just move forward with the next trip for the spring.
That's amazing. And you work with like a company for that, or do you do it
Um,
yourself?
Independent partners,
Yeah.
yeah. The first tour I did, I went with one of the major tour companies that
Right.
works with a lot of influencers.
Mm-hmm.
And I, took my notes and
Yeah.
just kind of figured out like what kind of experience do I really want to offer.
Yeah.
And this Italy trip, I'm doing the tour. I'm co-hosting with the woman that owns the shop that I work at, and
Ooh,
she does tours all year long.
okay.
So I felt very like
Yeah.
comfortable working with her. And she has a partner in Italy because they've been doing this, and
Yeah.
she has just more access to
Mm-hmm.
for the food experiences in particular.
Yeah.
Um, I have found with a lot of the bigger travel websites is that the itineraries are very limited, and it kind of caters to people that they might like food but they're not necessarily like cooks or
Mm-hmm.
chefs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to just get more in-depth kind of
Yeah.
cooking classes and knowledge
Mm-hmm.
than what I could get from a general website like that.
Yeah.
I'm working with an independent team overseas for that trip as well,
Okay.
because that's the best way, is just to
Yeah.
have people that are really understand the
Yeah.
region and the culture.
Yeah. That's amazing. Ugh, I also am trying to plan a Brazilian tour, but I put that on pause because again, like I also have an issue where it's like I need to be doing like 50 million things all at once. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, child, you're writing a cookbook, you have this podcast, like sit your butt down. You're not
it's
gonna
a
take
lot.
people to
Yeah.
Brazil on top of that right now. So
However,
chill.
I'm down. When you do it,
Yes.
just let me know. I
Yes.
will join that trip. I
Yes.
haven't done anybody else's tour. Like I would love to come on a trip that I'm not
Yeah.
planning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, it'd be
but
amazing.
I'm very much in like just create my own world and let people show up.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I would love to go on one of yours too. I need to find some time and some babysitters. Is that I'm definitely like I want to travel. I'm terrified of planes, but
How
actually
young are your children?
are you ready? I have a 17-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 10-month-old. So
Oh, you
all
have the
over.
whole
I
spread.
got the
Yeah.
whole spectrum. So hopefully my oldest will be graduating next year. And so that'll be, one less, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what comes with like being a parent to like an adult child. I have no idea, but we'll see. We'll see if things slow down. But if not, like that's never stopped me. So I'm gonna keep going. Hopefully I can join
Had
one because
this spread also. It was when they were both in school, it was a lot because it's just like two
yeah,
separate schedules and meetings and
yeah.
yeah,
All the
yeah.
extracurricular activities. Ugh, this is a whole nother
Yeah.
blog, a whole nother podcast
Yeah.
episode. being moms and parents to these children. It's
Do
crazy.
they help in the kitchen? Do you do a lot with them?
Yeah, my oldest is a daughter, so it's a girl, boy, girl, boy. And of course the girls kind of lean more towards the kitchen stuff. My oldest does. She like has her like signature recipes that she does. I started her out because I was like working so much. I was like, hey, I'm gonna get you like HelloFresh boxes or something like that, where it's like, I'm not home, but she can like have all the ingredients and have the instruction. And she really liked it. I feel like that really helped her. And then like my youngest kind of wants to do anything that her older sister does, so they do help a lot in the kitchen, and just in general with like younger siblings and the house and everything. So it's cool. It's
That's
cool.
a good idea with
Yeah.
the HelloFresh
Mm-hmm.
kids.
Yeah.
My daughter, she likes to bake, and she definitely enjoys it more if I act as her sous chef
Yeah.
and prep all the ingredients beforehand. So
Yeah.
that's how we have like to do it,
Yeah.
because she likes the activity of
Mm-hmm.
like baking and mixing, but she
Yeah.
gets a little intimidated and flustered if she
Overwhelmed.
has to start
Me too,
out
girl. Me
making
too.
sure she's doing all the measurements right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I love that. Oh, maybe you can do like a little like HelloFresh style box for baking. There isn't any of that out, I don't think.
That would be
So,
fun.
yeah. Well, it's been a lovely conversation. I feel like we could keep going, talking about so much more. I'd love to have you back on. If ever, whenever you're ready to release, that travel that you were talking about.
Yes.
Definitely let me
Yes.
know. We'll spread the news. Please let people know how they can find you.
Oh, okay. You can follow me on Instagram at the Kitchenista, and my Patreon is patreon.com/Kitchenista.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dishing Up Diaspora, and catch us again next week.